In your Ag Report, a crippling labor shortage tied to immigration restrictions is forcing farmers in the state to rethink the way they run their business.
This is just not a San Diego issue. This is California and the entire country.
It's an industry worth $1.8 billion in crops, but the lack of workers is driving it in a different direction. Eric Larson with the San Diego Farming Bureau says there's a labor shortage of roughly 25%, and he says that's a direct impact of new immigration regulations.
We've not had real immigration reform that allowed more foreign-born workers to come into this country for a long time, 40 plus years. And so what's happened is the population of farm workers has diminished over that time. So we have this continuing shortage of labor that gets worse year after year.
Larson says if these shortages continue, consumers won't see a lack of fruits or vegetables, but they will notice their produce is coming from foreign countries. Right now, revisions are being worked on for the H-2A visa, intended to make it easier for guest workers to work temporarily in agriculture. But experts say this program is best suited for large farms, not smaller farming communities.
Now to the escalating trade war between the U.S. and China. Overnight, global stock markets falling sharply amid growing tensions just one day after the president appeared to have second thoughts about his latest action.
Meanwhile, millions of Americans remain concerned about their 401ks following Friday's major market plunge. ABC's Mona Abdi has the latest.
This morning, President Trump from the G7 summit in France announcing trade talks are back on between the U.S. and China.
China called last night our top trade people and said, let's get back to the table, so we'll be getting back to the table.
Trump going on to praise China's president, saying he has great respect for the country.
This is a very positive development for the world.
The announcement follows a tumultuous weekend between the two nations, which set a ripple of uncertainty through global markets. It also comes after a rare admission from President Trump, who at one point signaled regret over the trade war.
Mr. President, any second thoughts on escalating the trade war with China?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Second thoughts?
Might as well.
The White House quickly pushing back, insisting the president's remarks were misunderstood.
Again, he doesn't have second thoughts about what he's done. If anything, he wanted to clarify if he had second thoughts, it would be to raise the tariff.
But today it appears any plans of further escalating tensions are on hold as both sides once again attempt to strike a compromise.
We're getting along very well with China right now. We're talking. I think they want to make a deal much more than I do.
The trade war with China is already hitting U.S. consumers even before the new tariffs were announced Friday. J.P. Morgan estimated American families will pay an average of $1,000 a year more because of the higher tariffs on China. And the president's remarks were reaction to earlier calls from Chinese officials for calm negotiations to resolve the trade dispute. Mona Abdi, ABC News, Washington.
Well, into other ag news, Mexican tomato growers and the U.S. Commerce Department have struck a deal for a new tomato suspension agreement. This 5-year agreement enters a public comment period and goes into effect September 19th. The deal will suspend the anti-dumping investigation that was reactivated in May after the Commerce Department pulled out of the 2013 agreement in response to complaints from domestic growers. The new suspension agreement includes mandatory quality inspections and increases in floor prices on Mexican tomatoes.